Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I received a request from one of my favorite lovely subscribers, Pinkabuki. She asked me to go ahead and create a tutorial on wedding guest makeup look, something that's fresh and timeless but makes your skin look like skin, like you woke up looking like this, something that will photograph nicely. I added those last bits. Sorry. But yes, I created this look inspired by going to a wedding. I wanted to do something that wasn't playing up the trends. When you look back, you're not going to be like, girl, what was up with my brows? I liked it at the time, but I don't know. That is what's going on with my look. No blinding highlight here, no Instagram brows, no carved out crease, nothing. Just soft, youthful. I hope that you enjoy. If you are new to my channel, definitely subscribe before you go so you can see more tutorials like this one. We would love to have you. Our family is called the Cake Face family, and if you're a returning friend, thank you so much for coming back. Greatly appreciate each and every one of you. So without further ado, let's get this started. Today I'm going to prime my eyes using my Makeup Forever Step 1 base for eyes and lips. I've already prepped and primed the skin using skincare. It's really important to prime the skin, as you guys well know. You guys are smart. I am going to use some of my favorite shadows. I actually took both my Siren and Absinthe Theory palettes from Viseart and put them into one palette. This used to house my Cool Matte 2 palette. I put that separately with some depotted Viseart palettes into a Z palette, and I put both of those together in here to create my perfect combination, because I often use these together. We're going to go for peachy tones. I think that's perfect for keeping things looking nice and fresh and natural and youthful and soft. So I'm gonna lightly dust this shade. This is from the green palette, matte cream shade. Like in any of my tutorials, feel free to substitute with what you've got. It doesn't have to be the same brand or even the same colors. Just use what you've got. And I am using my Wayne Goss number 18 brush and lightly brightening all over from the lash line to the brow bone, placing most of the product near the lid. I want to make sure everything is nice and smooth. The smoother the base, the better the overall effect will be. I don't like to bring this white shade all the way up to the brow bone starkly. A lot of times in photographs that comes off as very harsh. I'm just lightly blending. We want to avoid stage makeup type of looks where the skin isn't peeking through. We want it to be nice and soft. Whether the wedding and reception is indoors or outdoors can make a big difference in the type of makeup you want to choose as well. But for the sake of universality, I do think that thinking about your makeup as if you're going to be outside is a really great indicator for how natural your makeup looks in general. When you step outside and your makeup doesn't look right, then it could mean that you're putting on a little too much makeup, a little too much base, or being just a little too harsh with your application. So I'm going to go ahead and start with these peachy tones. And with this soft number 18 brush, it's the largest of the 3 Wayne Goss brushes, like blending brushes I have. This guy I'm just placing all over the crease, starting to really build up the color into the crease softly, sort of mixing it in with that very pale off-white shade we laid down. You also want to think about what you're wearing. So if you are wearing shades of cool tones or metallics or warm tones. You can really change things up depending on what you're wearing, and you could choose like a bold lip if that's what your focus, you know, if you want your focus to be on your lips, if you want your focus to be on your eyes. I would choose one or the other. I probably, for this type of occasion, wouldn't play up both aspects because, like I said, you want this to be pretty timeless, classic, understated, and elegant. I am going to take the next shade of Peachy Goodness and place that right into the crease as well. None of this is mind-blowing. We're just kind of doing what I usually do, which is work from light to dark, slowly building, creating a gradient, and all of this is in the crease. If the wedding is an evening, black tie, indoor type of affair, a smoky eye would be a really great choice too. Soft smoky eye. So this guy looks pretty nicely blended. You can see there's no real harsh lines, no like abrupt starts and starts to the colors. So at that point, and once they are even, you're good. So I am going to start to bring that underneath the lower lash line, but I'm going to go for a smaller brush. This is the Wayne Goss number 19. Underneath the lower lash line, we don't want to go too dark or stark there either. Also, it kind of depends on what kind of culture the wedding is going to be in. You want to be conscientious of who the bride and groom are, what their families normally do. So I'm just lining underneath the lower lash line. Now it's up to you if you want to put shimmer at all, if that's kind of up your alley. I think I would like to put a little bit of shimmer, so I'm going to take this guy over here. It's like a rose gold shade, really pretty. And I'm going to softly just use my finger and lightly dab this onto the lid. Again, I'm not looking for anything too harsh, so I'm going to go ahead and blend that into the crease work we've already laid down. You can do this with any combination of colors you like. It's just a very simple eye. Now with the same brush, I'm going to take this light shimmery shade from the green palette and very, very softly blend that underneath the highest point of the arch of our brows. Going back over it with a little bit of that cream matte shade, just to make sure everything is nice and blended in. You can do this with your face highlighter. That might create an overall more unified look. You can also do this eye look using your blush. That would create a really beautiful, soft, classic look as well. A really flattering, especially for older, more mature eyelids, and sophisticated twist on winged liner is going to be doing that wing with powder products. It's going to create a softer, blended, photogenic effect. I'm just going to start by taking this deep brown here with an eyeliner brush. This is the e.l.f. small angled brush. I'm not even going to wet my brush. I don't want it to be crisp. I want it to be soft. So I'm going to start by stamping this along the lash line up on top, starting on the outer edge. For this type of kitten wing, I like to start small and continually re-examine. And what I mean by that is just like stop, take a look, see if you've gone far enough. You're walking a fine line when you're going for a soft, classic look. You really don't want to overdo it. Most of the product ends up wherever you first put the brush down. So by starting on this outer edge, you're ensuring that that is the area that has the most product, and then moving on from there, you are effectively blending it into the rest of the shadows, creating a gradient. I am bringing the shadow all the way to the inner corner because we're going to create a little bit of a inner wing there as well, which is totally optional like any of these steps, but I thought it could be a nice twist and really bring the cat eye effect to a nice point. So this is where we're at. It's a really soft wing. I'm going to take a little bit of that brown and connect the wing on the outer edge to the lower lash line. And then I'm going to blend the top edge of the lash line. Just blend it right into what we've got. Now I do like to use this deep hunter green as a replacement for black shadow. I think it looks really nice when you use an off black. It just gives a depth of color that black doesn't give. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of this and put this closest to the lash line on this outer corner. Now I'm sort of desperate to catch up my left eye to keep things symmetrical, so I'll quickly do that before finishing this guy off. Bring that into the inner corner a little bit. Starting by just extending the lower part of the tear duct and then connecting it with the upper. I'm going to take a little bit of this frosty white cream shade with my ASUM W21 brush. I'm going to just place a little bit underneath that edge. Now with a bit of makeup remover, or in my case a bit of toner, I am going to just take off all of that drop down pigment. And it's pretty essential that you get all of it. We don't want it mixing with our base and creating a aged, darkened effect. So the mascara that is open for me right now is the Marc Jacobs Velvet Noir. And I'm going to do a light coat of this, keeping the lashes nice and soft and fluffy looking. Feel free to use deep brown eye products, mascara, all of that, lashes. It can look really nice and soft and classic as well. I just have black, but I also have very dark hair, so it kind of makes sense. Sometimes if you go to inky black, it can be quite harsh, you know. For false lashes, I am going to use, I bet you couldn't guess, my Ardell Magnetic Accent number 2 lashes. These really are the only false lashes I'll wear anymore, just because of the convenience of them. So the top layer nestles on right on top of the lash line, and the bottom just clicks on underneath. On to complexion. So I'm going to prime my face using my Charlotte Tilbury Wonder Glow, and I'm going to use my Light Wonder foundation in number 2 Fair. So this primer has a glow to it. I squeezed out way too much, by the way. Oops, I hate wasting product like this. I think if you want a glowy complexion as a wedding guest, you can absolutely achieve a beautiful glow from within that is photogenic using a glowy primer. This one here is really pretty. It has a golden sheen to it. The gold light from the MAC Strobe collection is really pretty. I think that a lot of times if you try to load on too much powder for an event like this, like powder, highlight, things like that, it can come off as kind of strong and a little bit possibly dated to our time, just because it comes off so blinding. That being said, you do you, but that's just my take on this look. And I'm going to take my Light Wonder foundation And because I am so dry, I'm actually going to mix a little bit of oil in with this foundation. It's much for most skin types, but I'm actually going to mix it with my Cover FX Lemongrass Radiance Drops. This foundation already has a glow to it. It's a sheer to medium coverage foundation that is perfection for lightly enhancing your complexion. I'm gonna use a sponge to blend. What I did was I did a very light, even layer with my hands, and then now that it's taken care of quite a bit of my concerns, I'm gonna go back and add a little bit where I feel like I need a little bit more. Again, by building up slowly, we're keeping the complexion very natural and fresh. And you can absolutely do that technique with any foundation. For concealer underneath the eyes, I mostly want to brighten, so I'm going to take my Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector and just take the tiniest bit for right underneath where I have some darkness. Also right where I have this dark spot that keeps peeking through. I'm going to use a little fluffy brush. This is the Real Techniques Base Shadow Brush, and I'm going to use that to blend, to get really up close to the lower lash line. A day where I have a lot of large pores showing, I would not opt for this foundation. I think it's beautiful and dewy and gorgeous, but it does tend to accentuate large pores. So if that's a concern, I would choose something else. And again, I tend to reevaluate after each step to make sure I'm not going overboard with my makeup. And right now, I feel like I'm at a good spot, but if I use a heavy concealer on top of this, I think it's going to be much too harsh. So I'm going to choose a lightweight concealer. I'm on a roll with Charlotte Tilbury, right? So why not continue? This is the Charlotte Tilbury Retoucher, shade number 1. I'm going to put a little bit on the back of my hand instead of directly on my face. Again, to make sure I don't put on too much. I just feel like I need a little bit more coverage in the inner corner here. The thing about blending concealer with a brush like this is that it does definitely streak. So I'm going to go over it and just pat it down with my sponge. But I wanted to start with this so that I could get really up close to the lower lash line without messing with the eyeshadow too much. If I went in with the sponge right away, we would not be able to get very close, or we would cover up the mascara and everything. So now just dab, dab, dab. And that melted everything together so nicely. I do have a little bit more left on my hand of this concealer, and I feel like right around the nose tends to show up as very red in photographs for me. It's a hormonal thing, so it's pretty common. You may want to touch that spot if you think you have that same issue as I do. And also the chin. And again, this is a very lightweight concealer, so I'm not too concerned about it looking heavy, and I'm putting so little, you know. Also right around the brows. For some reason, those 3 spots always show up as red in photos. On me. Not on you. I don't know. Of course, my Charlotte Tilbury contour wand. You guys know I'm obsessed with this stuff. I'm going to put a dot on either side of my face. And with this, I'm just going to create some structure to the cheekbone area as well as the jawline. If you do have more of an exposed like cleavage area or décolleté, you want to bring that bronzer all the way down. But if you have a light colored dress, it could get on the dress and stain it, kind of transfer. You just want to make sure that what you're doing looks nice overall, as well as won't transfer on your clothes. Okay, so for a peachy blush, I'm gonna use the NARS Liquid Blush in Luster. One of my faves. I'm going to work it into the butt of my sponge. Dab, dab, dab. And this is the most beautiful, like, creamsicle, peach, apricot type of blush. A little bit of blush makes the skin look really youthful. If you have a very round face like I do, you might want to keep it away from the nose and the eyes. But right on that apples of the cheek can look really youthful. And then finally, to set everything, make sure it doesn't move and crease and settle into fine lines, I'm going to use my favorite powder. You guys know I use this every day. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder. Mine is in the shade 1. I especially like to hit right around the nose where I've got large pores and where I like to conceal, specifically right on that dark spot there to make sure it doesn't rub away too easily. Okay, so one of your biggest decisions for your look for the night will be what lipstick you choose. You can go in so many different directions. You could do a really pretty gloss, you could do a bold matte lip, you could do, you could go any direction you want. I think for me, I want to choose a lipstick that really enhances my natural coloring, something that's very classic, that's not gonna be too in your face bold, but still give a little bit of a statement to the lip. So the color that came to mind is the Charlotte Tilbury Walk of Shame lipstick. This color is very much like my natural lip tone, but I want to give it a little twist by going with a coral lip liner. I know they're not similar at all. This isn't coral, but I want a little bit of a coral undertone just so that it pulls together with my look without being a coral lipstick. Do you know what I mean? Like, coral can be a little bit can accentuate yellow in the teeth and can be a little bit bold. So I'm gonna go with my sophisticated twist to a coral lip. This is the MAC lip pencil in Lasting Sensation. I actually really don't like this lip pencil. It's very dry and not very pigmented, but that's okay. I'm filling in the lip pretty much all the way. It's kind of like faded out in the middle, just so that there isn't like a stark line around the lipstick or anything like that. And then with this lip, I'm gonna dab it onto the center and then blend it out from there. So your final step is to give yourself a little spritz of your favorite setting spray. I'm gonna choose my Milani Make It Dewy. I quite like this one. It's gonna give a nice refreshed look to the skin, nice and dewy without being overdone. And this guy's really great. It also helps to prolong the wear of my makeup, so I love this one. Okay guys, so this is the final look. I hope that you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys. I don't know what that was, but you know.